Welcome to Omar's Story Nook, where history gets spicy, legends get a remix, and imagination runs wild. Every tale you hear is a whisper of Omar, echoing across time, truth, and shadow. They say the water remembers, that it carries stories the land tried to bury. And this one? This one echoes in tides and tombs. In 1803, a group of enslaved Igbo people arrived on the shores of Georgia, USA. Chained, shipped, sold, but they did not go quietly. They rose, they fought, and they chose something deeper than chains. They walked into the water together. This is not a suicide story, it's a resistance story, a spiritual story, a story not of endings but of reclamation. The story of Igbo Landing, where freedom didn't mean escape, it meant return, not to a place, but to a state of soul. Welcome to Omar's Story Nook, where history gets spicy, legends get a remix, and imagination runs wild. Every tale you hear is a whisper of Omar, echoing across time, culture, and the soul. Now close your eyes and listen. Before they were prisoners, they were people. Farmers, scholars, griots. They lived in villages governed by consensus. They worshipped spirits, honored ancestors, and knew the land like the back of their hands. The Igbo, one of Africa's most independent peoples, were not easy to conquer. But greed sails faster than truth. In 1803, in the region that is now southeastern Nigeria, 75 Igbo men, women, and youth were captured, not by strangers but through betrayal, sold to slavers, bound in the dark belly of the Wanderer, a ship bound for Savannah, Georgia. The journey was torture. Salt sores bloomed on skin. Wails echoed like thunder in the hall, but they endured, some through silence, some through prayer, some by biting their tongues to remember home. When they arrived in Georgia, they were sold once more, this time to agents of slave owners on St. Simon's Island, loaded onto a smaller vessel, the York, to finish the journey inland. But something about the marshlands whispered back to them. Something ancient, something deep. The boat was narrow, the crew unarmed, and in the stillness of those southern waters, the Igbo made a choice. They stood, they rose in silence. They overtook the crew with bare hands, with fury, with grace. No screaming, no chaos, just the sound of chains hitting the floor and breath returning to bodies that had refused to break. For a moment on those winding marshy inlets, they were free. But freedom, real freedom, asks questions. Now what? Where to go when the land all around is owned by those who would cage you again? The shoreline was quiet. The Spanish moss hung like ghosts in the trees, and the wind spoke in riddles. The Igbo looked at one another, then looked at the horizon. They weren't trying to escape. They were choosing to return. To spirit, to source. Witnesses say they moved together, deliberate, upright, unafraid. Some held hands. Some sang in Igbo. Not wailing, not mourning. Singing. The translation varies. The water brought us. The water will carry us home. They walked into Dunbar Creek, not flailing but floating, not drowning but dissolving into mate. Their footprints did not turn back. Their bodies did not surface. The records would call it mass suicide. The slave owners called it tragedy, but the enslaved called it power. Word spread fast through Georgia, and then through the Carolinas, then Mississippi, then the entire South. They walked into the water and vanished. It terrified those who claimed dominion, but it ignited those who dreamed of something more. The story grew. It danced through gospel songs, slipped into hush harbor sermons, became bedtime whispers for children born into bondage. They chose the water, and the water set them free. Some say they became birds. Some say they turned to mist. Some say they returned to their ancestors, but all say they never surrendered. Drive down the back roads of St. Simon's Island today, and you hear about the landing, a quiet curve in the creek, a place locals don't visit after sunset. Children say the water sings. Fishermen swear their nets feel heavier there, like something unseen pulls back. Elders pray when they pass. It becomes sacred, not with altars or incense, but with memory, a kind of hush that settles in your bones. In black churches from Alabama to Virginia, the name Igbo Landing is never said casually. It is offered like a hymn, a reminder that even in shackles, dignity could bloom. Historians once called it folklore, but the documents came later. Records of the yoke, names of buyers, even legal complaints from slave owners who lost their investment. But it wasn't about loss. It was about refusal. The Igbo refused to be renamed, refused to forget the path home, and refused to let the ocean be only a grave. They made it a doorway. Some Gulagichi people still believe those spirits guard the coast. And if you step into the marsh with disrespect, they will guide you out or pull you under, because what happened at Igbo Landing didn't stay in 1803. It planted something, a ghost, a spell, or simply a story the world wasn't ready to hold until now. Today, Igbo Landing lives on, not just in books, but in murals painted on school walls, in the lyrics of spirituals passed down for generations, in Beyonce's Lemonade, where a woman in white walks into the water, not to die, but to become. Poets write of it. Historians finally speak its name with reverence, and descendants return year after year to pour libations, lay flowers, sing in Igbo, and tell their children, "We come from the ones who walked into the sea and didn't look back." It is a story of loss, yes, but also of sovereignty, of ancestral technology, the kind that maps routes beyond borders, beyond pain, beyond physical escape. They didn't beg, they didn't plead, they chose. And in choosing, they cracked something open, a myth that healed, a moment that never forgot itself, a freedom that didn't wait for permission. So when they say, not all were rescued, you say, no, some rescued themselves. And when they ask, where did they go? You say, where they always were, in the water, in the wind, in the song we hum without knowing why. They left no trace, no monument, no grave, just the memory of a march into water where chains dissolved and spirit rose. Igbo Landing was not a tragedy, it was a return, and the sea still sings their names. Until the next whispers of Oma, stay listening. Igbo Landing, the day the water carried them home, where spirit chose the sea over slavery.